Hey y'all. Oh, my sticky note kind of just flew away. I am discussing square roots, squares, and estimating square roots today. It's August 31st, and I'm going to go over the notes that we took in class, and then I will go over the maze that we have for homework. Well, not homework, just practice, but it will be for a grade. So squares and square roots, today is the 31st. Squaring a number is raising it to the power of 2. For example, 4 raised to the power of 2 is 16. 17 raised to the power of 2 is 289. This is 17 times 17. Okay? When a negative value is squared, be careful to note whether or not the negative is in or out of the parentheses. So be careful here, y'all. Don't make the mistake to put the negative on the outside unless that's what it asks for in any given problem. Okay? So here I'm multiplying -2 times -2, and I'm going to get a +4. But over here, I want the opposite of 2 squared. So 2 squared would be 4, and I want the opposite of that, which is the opposite of 4, -4. Okay, so watch your parentheses. Square roots. A square root is finding a square root is the inverse of squaring a number. Okay? The square root of 16 is 4 and -4. Because 4 squared is 16, and -4 squared is also 16. Next part of our notes. The positive square root is called the principal square root. Principal means main, okay? Using the radical, that's this square root symbol, will result in a positive answer always, okay? It will always result in a positive answer. I should have rewritten that. Any number with a positive and whole root is called a perfect square. So for example, 1, 4, 9, 25, I skipped 16, 64, I skipped a couple, 100, 121. All of these are perfect squares because what this is 1 to the power of 2. This is 2 to the power of 2. This is 3 to the power of 2. This is 5 to the power of 2, and so on. This is 8, 10, and 11. Okay? Non-perfect squares, those are my imperfect squares, are the numbers whose roots are not whole numbers. Meaning when I go get my calculator and I put in, hold on, let me pull up my calculator. And I put in the square root of, let's say, 50. I'm going to get a decimal here, okay? 50 is an imperfect square. It's also an irrational number. So I want to estimate where would my root fall if these are not perfect squares. So if I have 22, then I'm going to take the list of perfect squares and I'm going to look and see where 22 falls. So here's how we do that. I'm going to have my squares and their roots. So I've got a root over here and then the squared version over here. Little squiggly line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I would like for you to go up to 30, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and then I'll go on to the back and do the rest. But anyway, so this is 1 because 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 2 is 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100, 121, 144, 169, 196, 225, and this is where I pull out my calculator, 256, I think is 16 squared, 16 times 16, yes, 256, and 17 times 17, I just did that in my notes, I think that's 289, 17 times 17 is 289, and then I keep going, 18 times 18, 324, 19 times 19, something 61, 361, This is 400, okay? And then I'll go on to the next page, and I'll do 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. That's 900. Okay, so I'll do 29 squared. I'm going backwards now. 841. 28 squared, 784. Sorry, I have not memorized these. 729. 676. 625. I know that one. 24. 576. 23. 529. 22. 484, and 21 is 441. So now I'm going to find out, back to my notes, the square root of 22. So I'm going to look at my perfect squares and see where 22 would fall. These are my squares. So 22 would fall in between 16 and 25, okay? So if I were to put a radical here and a radical here, I would get 5 and 4. So the square root of 22 is between 4 and 5 because the square root of 16 and the square root of 25 will have the square root of 22 in between there. Okay, that's what that means. That's where my 22 would fall. So then my 50, I would go to my perfect squares and see where 50 falls. Perfect squares, 50 falls after 7 but before 8. So my answer would be 7 point something something. But it would be between the whole numbers 7 and 8. 103 would fall between the whole numbers. Let's go back to my cheat sheet. 103, it would fall between 10 and 11. And then I would double check this by using my calculator. So for the square root of 22, I would input square root 22. This should be between 4 and 5. It's 4 point something. 4.69. Okay. The square root of 50. Square root 50 is 7.07. Between 7 and 8, the square root of 103, radical, radical 103, 10 point something, between 10 and 11, okay? So with your assignment that you've been given, you've got estimating square roots, maze 2 and maze 1. So what we're trying to do is determine what's the quickest route to get to the finish line. Follow the best estimate of each square root plotted on the number lines to make it correctly through the maze. Shade or color your path as you go along. All right, so here I've got 9 and 10. So it's between 9 and 10, and both of these numbers are in between the square root of 81 and the square root of 100 according to my list. So I need to see, well, what's about the middle? The middle is about 9.5. And I need to calculate which one is closer to 9.5 and past it actually. So let me get my calculator. I'm going to do radical 84. Radical 84 equals, that's 9.16 something. So this can't be my answer because 9.16 would be closer to the 9. It's got to be square root of 94. 9.695. That's just past halfway. So I would shade in this arrow, this double-headed arrow. And then I would go to the next one down here. So this is, here's my halfway mark for reference. This is more than 2.5. So I need to calculate the square root of 5, then the square root of 8. I know it's not the square root of 18. But let's see, the square root of 5. So second radical 5. That's 2.23. That's not closer to 3. So it's got to be this one. So I'm going to shade this one in. Now here, this looks like it's smack dab in the middle, 7.5. So let's calculate the square root of 50 and the square root of 57 and see what we get. Radical 50. Oh, that's 7.07. That's too close to 7. So it's got to be radical 57, or square root of 57. Now I'll double check my work. I think I have a pretty good judgment. 7.54. Okay, that's close to 7.5. So you're going to keep progressing on through your maze until you get to the finish line here. I've gotten the first 1, 2, 3 out of the way, and make sure that you put your middle number there as a point of reference. Okay, that's your 0.5, and this right here comes before the 4. So this is technically between 3 and 4 here. Make sure to put your middle point. All of these are in the middle over here, except for this one. Middle, middle, okay? And then you'll get to your finish line. Feel free to use whatever colors you'd like for your shading in, okay? Make sure that you're being accurate, though. So I would do it with pencil first and maybe put a mark here and say, all right, this is the one that I need to shade in, or this is the one that I need to shade in, okay? And then you're going to do the same thing on the back. We're estimating square roots. We're finding our way to the finish line, okay? If you have questions, shoot me an email. If not, have a good afternoon.